Hi everybody, how we doing? Matt from Hannah Fields, back with a monthly market garden update for the month of August. It's the 26th of August today, so it's been about maybe just under 4 weeks since my previous video. I've had a great month in terms of the weather. It's been a bit more balanced. It's still been warm for most parts of the month, but it's also had some cooler days and a little bit of rain. So we had some rain at the beginning of the month, and then last night we've had a nice downpour, and we've got a bit of rain forecast going forward as well. So it's certainly helping with the watering and giving a bit of balance to our crops and growing space. So speaking of growing space, let's have a little gander and show you how we're shaping up this month. So I'm going to start down here, which was our beetroot bed for the most part of the early part of the growing season. Still a few beetroots sparsely here and there, but as you can see, our second crops are starting to come into fruition now. So as the gaps appears, what you can see is our beautiful parsnips taking over, filling them gaps, and our purple broccoli. So a great example of intercropping and showing you how when one crop finishes, the other crop starts to go for it and fill them gaps in and take advantage of all the high energy of summer. So the purple broccoli, that's been in the ground about 5 or 6 weeks, and that will crop as we get into April next year. So it's a crop for next spring. And the parsnips, they were intersown in the gaps of the beetroots a couple of weeks after I planted the beetroots out. And they chugged away until the gaps appeared, and they've now started to take advantage of that space. And I'm expecting parsnips to crop in October. So a great start to the video and a great example of intercropping and how you can gain time, speed up time on your growing season. It's looking fruitful down here, excuse the pun, but it is. It's the squash bed, and it's probably a couple of weeks ahead of where I would anticipate it being. I normally harvest squashes as we get into sort of mid-late September. But as you can see, the downy mildew is in full effect. It's starting to get what looks like disease, and they're starting to die back. All that energy is being concentrated on the fruiting and the ripening process. And I reckon in the next week or two, I'll be harvesting these. I mean, just to show you this one here, for instance, and most of them are like this. It's rock solid. So what we tend to do is clear the bed, harvest all these fruits, and then I cure them in the greenhouse or the polytunnel for a couple of weeks. And these variety, they store reasonably well, as do the other variety, which are curry squash and spaghetti squash. I grow them purely because of size and not just only taste. They taste great. On the market garden, they're a great one to sort of sell. 1 to 3 kilos is normally the average weight for these kind of squashes. And like I say, it's a nice appealing squash to sell to our customers. This bed here is not done too much really, other than just grow and grow and grow since my previous video. Rainbow chard, forever abundant. We just keep picking it, and we pick it even if we don't eat it or sell it, so to speak, because it keeps the plants nice and tidy. You get rid of diseases, and you're also keeping that airflow nice and encouraging that growth. So keep picking your rainbow chard if it's a crop that you're growing, and it'll continue to give you many harvests as you get into early winter. It will slow down if it gets really cold over the winter, and grow again in Feb, and continue to give you a little bit of a sort of tickle crop before it flowers in April. Same with the kale, it does a similar thing, and we look after it the same way. As you can see, it's in full maturity now. We're harvesting the leaves that we're selling or eating, and we keep the plants nice and tidy by doing the same thing. And the older leaves taking off, we tend to freeze them at home and not waste anything where possible, but you can always give it to friends and family if you've got too much kale, or worst case scenario, you can compost it or even feed it to animals. So there's always a reason to harvest your kale and have somewhere to put it. Runner beans at the back. Fruitful. We're just picking kilos a day. It certainly feels that way. I mean, I only picked these yesterday, and yeah, I've already got a load more to pick. So continue to pick your runner beans if you're growing them. and that'll encourage flowers. And there's no reason why they can't crop all the way through till sort of October time. That's normally when we sort of get that crop until, I mean, any diseased leaves like this, or any leaves sort of dying back, just pull them off, compost them, keep the plants nice and tidy, and until it gets really cold, these will just continue to crop, and yours should do the same. Okay, our main bed. Down this side of the bed, a great example of second crops that are doing well, and how you can gain time in certain times of this year by planting early. A nice row of Brussels sprouts and a nice row of Savoy cabbages. These were interplanted in between carrots. We sowed carrots in here in Feb. They started to crop end of May. And then when we started to crop them, the gaps appeared, and in the gaps went in our brassicas. And like I say, good time of year just to speed up that growing season, gain time, taking advantage of all the energy and photosynthesis. So when you get to this point, when your carrots are pretty much done, it always looks great in terms of how much growth you've had, and it always feels great to know that you've gained time when you grow in season. So a great example of two crops in one area. Speaking of second crops, this is purple cabbages, which are just starting to wrap and form. These followed Derby Day cabbages, which started to crop in May, which was a month early from where we normally have them cropping, about June time. And yeah, as we get into sort of like early October, these will be starting to be harvested. So a great example of, if nature's on your side and your timings are right with your veg, you get two crops. And I could quite easily harvest these in October and follow it with garlic, so that would be three crops in one space. So happy with the red cabbages, and leeks are starting to thicken up now. These are a variety called Bandit, which I've not grown for a couple of years, and they're doing great. We multi-sow them, so we get more leek for our money in our space, and they are a slightly smaller leek if you were to sort of plant them out individually. I don't think there's that much in it in terms of size with this particular variety, so multi-sow them. And yeah, these will start cropping, I reckon, in about 5 or 6 weeks if we choose to. And leeks will stand in the ground well over the winter. This variety do anyway. And just keeping the mesh net on for the allium leaf miner, which could come any time. And that will stay on and hopefully protect our crops over the next sort of 6 months or so, which is probably where some of these leeks will be in the ground until. Okay, polytunnels. Tomato City, as the same as last video. They're just cropping heavy, and they will continue to crop as we get into sort of late, early October, depending on when we take these out. I've started snipping the tops off some of them. So what's on these on these fruits now will be the crop in terms of how many trusts we've got. And yeah, as the trusts start to fruiten up and ripen up, I take the leaves off below that point, as I do with all the tomatoes, and just enjoy the bounty of summer. Lots and lots of fruits on them. And speaking of fruits, we have peppers ripening now. They've been ripening for a couple of weeks, so we've started to harvest one or two of these. And our first crop of basil is in full go now, so we're harvesting that. But as you can see, I've started planting little bits in between the gaps, which is always something I encourage you guys to do to gain more crop for your money. So things like coriander and spring onions, they're a good one to get in the ground at this time of year. As you transition from summer to autumn, coriander likes it a bit cooler. That's certainly my experience. So this sort of weather will get it underway, and then as it gets cooler, it will just chug away and give us a crop that we can harvest over the sort of early part of winter and late autumn. So yes, that's doing wonderfully well. And speaking of well, the cucumbers that slowed down when we had all that heat, they've started to grow again now. I was worried about the cucumbers. I thought I had a bit of spider mite on them. We got that early with neem oil. I'm pretty convinced it was early spider mite, and I think we call it in time because these are doing great. But I wasn't sure, so I actually sowed some extra cucumbers, which I'll show you in a minute. My plan B has become a plan A and a plan B, which sometimes happens. And down the bottom here we have a few autumn crops going in. These are baby choy or baby pak choy, and as you can see, I've had to put a few slug pellets down in here. The slug pellets I use though, they're chemical free and they're certified organic for organic gardening. There's only one variety I found that are literally harmless to all nature. By all nature I mean the soil, things like birds and hedgehogs. So if you want to know which variety I purchase, send me a message and I will let you know the brand. But just an example, and just giving you some transparency really, we are an organic growing space and biodynamic growing space, but sometimes needs must with things like this. I mean, some of these pak choys are second ones. I've had to pull them out because they were bitten and eaten by slugs, which is the only crop I grow where they sort of, yeah, just demolish them if I know that quickly. So yeah, just a bit of a transparency that, you know, sometimes we do have to have these little interventions on the crops. And again, baby choy, picking these hopefully in the next sort of 4 to 6 weeks to grow really quickly. So a great early autumn crop to get in your spaces. Okay, the second polytunnel, doing great. Speaking of great, the grapes are doing great as well. Some of these are starting to sweeten up now, so I reckon in the next sort of week or so we'll have these on our market garden menu for purchase. I would say they're a little early, as are some of the crops down here this year. I always say mid-September I tend to sort of start harvesting these, but yeah, a couple of weeks early. And I've tried a couple, and some of them are sweet. They're still sweet and sour in places, so nearly there. So I'm looking forward to grapes. Tomatoes, same as poly number one, giving us many harvests, and will continue to do so into early mid-October, probably early or mid-October. I'll be getting these ones out for what I've got planned in here, so plenty of time left on the harvests. Cucumbers, my plan B. I decided just to plant them anyway. I'm not using this Harris fencing this year for anything now, so I put them in, and if we have a bit of an Indian summer, we might get a few cheeky cucumbers off each plant, which is all bonus crops, and no point in composting these or throwing them away. Planted them. Some of them are just starting to flower at the bottom, so like I say, you might get a cheeky cucumber or two off each of them. Kale for autumn. These have gone in now, so thinking ahead, and I've just sown some kale for late autumn, early winter and next spring. So always that overlap of crops, in particular kale, because it's quite popular down here. And same with the peppers. These are just ripening up beautifully as they are in the other polytunnel. A good time for peppers now with all this sunshine that we've been having. And the carrots in here are doing great. Add a little bit of a metre square space, so add some leftover carrot seeds. Always fill in gaps, as I encourage you to do. So yeah, these are just chugging away. I've thinned them out once, and what I'll probably do is, as they get a bit thicker, I'll thin them out again. So yeah, just a nice little snatch crop to have as we get into autumn time. Okay, I will take you over to our pond bed and show you how we're shaping up. It's doing great. It's mainly second crops now, second plantings. So our main crop of cauliflowers are growing exactly where I want them to be. They're doing great. They'll probably crop early October, late September. These followed a spring sowing of cauliflowers for a summer harvest, and they didn't do very well. They gave us golf ball to tennis ball size cauliflowers. Too much heat for this variety, I think. And even though they're an all-round variety snowball, they didn't like the heat, so went again with our normal cauliflowers, and they are on point. This space here is second plantings as well, so a nice row of turnips which are just starting to bulb up now. They're a quick growing crop, don't take much from you. Put them in, let them chug away. Multi-sown, they don't need much space. And down here we've got Swedes, which are fattening up nicely, and they're just chugging away nice and slowly, and they'll give us a nice tickle of a crop as we get into autumn. And in between the gaps of the Swedes, I had some leftover spring onions, so more crop for your money. You've got a gap, might as well fill it. And like I say, these follow beetroots, which we've got one or two left, but another great example of why crops are being harvested. You get them gaps, get your next crop in, because this is the fruits of that decision that you make. You gain more time, you get more crops. Courgettes doing what they do, just keep giving out and giving us lots and lots of fruits for our money. No mildew on these yet, so I anticipate these just to crop until it gets cold and we have a bit of a damp spell. So courgettes doing what I expect them to do at this time of year, which is give us lots. Okay, down here we now have salad leaves. Lettuce was a problem in the height of the summer. It just stunted, stopped growing, and we've had a few cooler days, cooler nights now amidst the sunshine, and we are now picking lettuce leaves again, which is great because I don't like buying them from elsewhere. So to have our homegrown produce back on the menu for our customers as well is great. And I've been sowing lots of other sort of lettuces for autumn, winter and spring, and some frills and some Asian greens as well. So the salad bags will be beautifully available over the next couple of months and into sort of the latter part of the year. Herbs are doing what herbs do, which is go for it when the weather's right. Our herbs are doing great at the beginning of the year, then they stunted with all the heat, and again it started to grow again. It's almost like a second phase we've had this year, which I've never seen before, and it's doing great. We have sage and thyme and tarragon as our sort of staple sort of herbs, if you will, and then we plant some leafy ones like parsley, which is great to plant out in sort of like June, July for a crop at this time of year. And things like dill I've just started placing around as well. Dill is a great one that you can sort of grow for an autumn harvest. So yeah, everything is where I want it to be. It's doing really good. And just touching back to what I said about what I'm sowing at the minute. So things like your Asian greens and things like turnips and spinach, these are great crops that you could be sowing now, or if you're sowing them, getting in the ground now, to enjoy nice harvests going into autumn and things that will crop slowly over the winter. So start getting them in the ground. Start sowing your spring onions for next spring if you've got undercover structures like polytunnels. You could be sowing spring onions now, planting them out in your sort of spaces and your polytunnels in October. So that's another good one. You can even try a few cheeky carrots indoors at this time of year to get some nice chantelly ones for Christmas. So there are plenty of options out there, guys. Keep your beds full and enjoy your gardens. That's the growing space down here at Hannah Fields for August 2025. Lots of love. Take care.